Welcome to 8 Minutes Reading in Law Reader channel. Today I will from Article 457 to Article 474. Episode 1.36. Article 457. Moratorium on development when the ministry or institution responsible for water resources issues a notification for the development of a river basin water resources plan. A moratorium on development within the watershed of that river basin shall take effect. The moratorium shall be valid until A. The water resources plan is approved. B. The issuance of notification for canceling or modifying the development of river basin water resources, wetlands, and watershed. Article 458. Rules of moratorium on development. 1. In case of a moratorium on development as stipulated in Article 457, moratorium on development of this code. All development project proposals shall not be considered if resource plans have not been approved or notified about canceling or modifying the development of river basin water resources, wetlands, and watersheds. Beach development process development operation shall not be permitted. In that case, the permission may cause the following effects: increase of water that may be taken, change the location from which water may be taken, increase of water rate at which water may be taken, change of flow conditions under which water may be taken, change of purposes for which the water may be taken. 2. New works shall not be permitted to start in the area covered by the moratorium. 3. The works that have been started may proceed until completion. However, they shall have written approval of the ministry or institution responsible for water resources and shall be subject to deadlines and other conditions determined by the ministry or institution responsible for water resources. 4. The completed works shall not be enlarged or modified. Article 459. Effects of river basin water resource plans. A river basin water resources plan of a river shall have the effect unless there are two distinct, separate plans between inland and underground water resources. Article 460. Implementation of River Basin Water Resources Plan. A developed River Basin Water Resources Plan shall be submitted for approval from the Royal Government of the Kingdom of Cambodia before implementation. Rights, authorization, and prohibition to use water resources. Article 461. Right to use water resources. All persons shall reserve the right to use water resources without the need for an authorization as follows. Vital human needs, including drinking, washing, bathing, sanitation, the irrigation of domestic gardens and orchards, and other domestic purposes. Beach firefighting and other emergency purposes. Article 462. Protection of the legal rights of others. Taking and using water resources shall be done in a manner that does not affect the legal rights of persons. Article 463. Activities requiring authorization. 1. All activities that require a permit shall be determined by the legal instruments of the ministries or institutions responsible for water resources and relevant ministries or institutions. 2. The following activities are permitted with written approval from the ministries or institutions responsible for water resources and relevant ministries or institutions. Any use, diversion, or taking of water resources other than by Articles 461, right to use water resources, and 462, protection of the legal rights of others, of this code. Beach the construction or operation of any infrastructure for the use, diversion, or taking of water resources other than by Articles 461, right to use water resources, and 462, protection of the legal rights of others, of this code. Siege the extraction of sand, soil, stones, gravel, minerals, petroleum, and gas from the beds, banks, coasts of oceans, rivers, streams, ditches, and lakes. D. The filling, lining, channeling, or alteration of rivers, streams, ditches, lakes, canals, reservoirs, clean water sources, and natural reservoirs. Article 464. Thresholds for uses, diversion, and taking of water resources. The ministry or institution responsible for water resources may develop a legal instrument to determine thresholds for using, diversifying, or taking water resources. Article 465. Providing approval on permits to use water resources. Approvals for applications for authorization to use water resources shall comply with requirements determined by this code and applicable laws and legal instruments. Article 466. Infrastructure permits. 1. The ministries or institutions responsible for water resources shall issue infrastructure permits to use water resources in accordance with the River Basin Water Resources Plan. 2. The requirements, formats, and procedures to issue infrastructure permits to use water resources shall be determined by legal instruments of the ministries or institutions responsible for water resources. Article 467. Register of Water Access Entitlement. The ministry or institution responsible for water resources shall maintain a register of all water access entitlements which are publicly available. Article 468. Conditions of water access entitlement. The use, diversion, or taking of water resources shall be undertaken through a water access entitlement determined by legal instruments of the ministry or institution responsible for water resources. Article 469. Legal right to water access entitlement. 1. Landowners and occupiers may apply for water entitlement at the ministry or institution responsible for water resources to take water from a. various water sources, lakes, and groundwater sources on or adjoining any of the b. an aquifer under any of the land c. water flowing across any of the land surface. D. Infrastructure operated under an infrastructure permit that can supply water to the land. 2. Requirements, formats, and procedures for water entitlement application shall be determined by the legal instruments of the ministries or institutions responsible for water resources. Article 470. Exception for environmental flows. The ministries or institutions responsible for water resources shall maximize water allocation for environmental flows to balance ecosystem functions. Article 471. Announcements of water access entitlements. Before the start of each water year, the ministry or institution responsible for water resources shall announce water access entitlements for the following year in accordance with priority groups and water sharing rules as determined in the River Basin Water Resources Plan. Article 472. Adjustments to the nominal volume. 1. The nominal volume of water allocation and any other conditions may be adjusted at the end of the River Basin Water Resources Plan. 2. There shall be no compensation for the above adjustment of the nominal volume of water allocation and conditions. Article 473. Water supply agreement in line with infrastructure permit. In the case of having a permit to use water resources to supply infrastructure that is operated under an infrastructure permit, the holders of the permit to use water resources and the infrastructure permit holders shall enter into a joint water resource supply agreement unless they are the same legal entity. Article 474. Standard Water Supply Agreement. 1. The ministry or institution responsible for water resources shall develop a standard supply agreement for the storage and/or delivery by water license and infrastructure permit holders by the provisions on water access entitlements. 2. The standard supply agreements may vary from location to location. Thank you for listening and see you in episode 1.37. Bye for now.